The Onyx Lumi very well be the most high-spec e-ink device and high quality on the market, but the pen is not. This is a very, very low quality standard pen. It does the job, but it honestly is nothing spectacular. It's made entirely out of plastic. The nibs are replaceable. You do have the button for erase on the side and the button at the back, but it's just a plastic pen with a plastic lapel clip. It doesn't twist open. It has no further functionality, and this is basically the same pen we've been seeing in every iteration of Wacom devices for the past 4 years. On the sidebar, you have library. This is where all your books are going to be when you sideload them. Here's your store. This is the store that Onyx has integrated. You have notes. This is where you're going to take all your notes. Storage is where your device storage is. You can discover all of your PDFs and books in there. Applications are going to be all of your applications that you have sideloaded and pre-installed on this device. And settings are where you find all your settings, of course. Languages, date and time, network settings, etc. Dropping down the top bar, you have a lot of things here. You have your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, screencast, speed modes, and you can edit and you can add things to your top bar as well. You also have the Glowlight, which we'll show you in a bit, and the volume control. And at the top, you have refresh and the typical Android 3-button layout. You have back, home, and multitasks. This device also comes with a drop-down from the top that initiates global contrast, which is basically system-wide, so everything from the sides, the lines, the text, the weight is going to change either lighter or heavier, depending on which side of the scale you landed on. Onyx has integrated their navigation ball a few generations back. This is where you have quick access to a bunch of different things. They can be turned off and they can be customized, and you actually can move the ball around, and where you put it respectively, it will always make sure that it doesn't cut any of the sides of the device off, so it'll always look very nice and conform itself. Despite the fact that the pen is nothing spectacular, this device does have some of the best cross-compatibility, to the point where Supernote Heart of Metal pens work, the Moan W7 Xiaomi pen works, which is one of the nicest pens we've ever seen on the market, and of course Boyu, Other, and pretty much everything else on the market works too. Cross-compatibility on this device is very nice, and they all do pressure sensitivity. They all work perfectly fine. Layers is something they've just recently integrated into their devices, kind of following suit with Remarkable. You can see here you do have layers, and I've drawn things on different layers. So if I activate layer 3, for example, and then I trigger the eraser, I'm actually not going to affect any other layer if I erase, other than the layer I'm working on, which is layer 3. I can then go back to the layers, I can move them up and down in priority, which ones I want to be higher or lower, and again, if I'm using any sort of eraser of any kind, I'm only affecting the actual area select of what the layer is working with. So this allows you to get a lot of Photoshop level editing on the go. A lot of manufacturers do handwriting recognition, but basically Onyx does it the best, and the reason being is because not only does it very quickly, it has two different styles. Original recognition basically just changes it in a flash exactly where you have written it on the screen, so you don't have to worry about formatting. However, they do have this one as well, which is reflow. It justifies it to the top left corner, which is also extremely fast. And why this is good is because you can continue your dictation using the keyboard down below. They're basically one of maybe 2 manufacturers that do geometric shapes, and how you find that is under this palette. So you can do shapes like circles, squares, lines, and of course triangles, and all this just happens very quick, very instantly. They started with one color back in the day, and now they have a whole bunch of colors. They have black, dark gray, medium gray, light gray, and of course white. They even take it a couple steps further, and they have red, green, and blue. Of course, red, green, and blue don't show up on the screen, but if you were to write red, green, and blue on the screen, like so, this would show up blue when you export it, and this is good for signing documents, writing on things that you want to be a respective color, grading papers, etc. They have a wide variety of pen styles as well, including fountain pen, paintbrush, ballpoint pencil, marker, and they have text input as well. You can go over to text input, start writing what you want to write, and you can basically go from there and put it anywhere you want on the screen, tap out, and you've just made your text on the screen. Now, each one of these pen styles looks extremely different. Some of them have bleeds, some of them have pressure sensitivity, and the pencil is one of the nicest. And again, they've taken a book out of Remarkable, which isn't a bad thing. It's good to emulate companies that do amazing jobs of things. We think the pencil is extremely nice. Now, it doesn't have tilt functionality, and in fact, if you tilt, it just goes away. So pretty much the Remarkable is one of the only devices to have that, but the pencil looks fantastic, and it does react to how lightly or hard you press on the screen. Of course, area selection has carried over. You can circle what you want to circle, you can copy it, and you can stamp it on the screen, so you can instantly duplicate what you have made. From there, you can actually change not only the height and width, you can actually change the aspect ratio as well. For example, we can stretch this or we can squish it, and we can rotate it as we see fit. A lot of devices lock their aspect ratio, which basically means that you can only expand it or contract it. You can't actually change the dimensions of it. This one actually allows you to do that. This device also has 4 modes of speed: normal, speed, A2, and X mode. Regardless of what it says here, there is a lot of text. It basically just means this is normal, this is fast, faster, and fastest. X mode will be your bread and butter for how fast you want your device to react. This is going to be the fastest and least latency we've ever seen on a device. It's incredibly quick. Doesn't matter how fast you write on the screen, it's going to transmit immediately. The downside is, even if I erase the screen, you can see that basically it's still there. And why that is because it doesn't refresh. It's basically just staining on the screen. Now, it's nothing negative because you can trigger a refresh anytime you want, or you can simply get out of X mode. To be completely honest, this device is leaps and bounds above any other note-taking device currently on the market, but you do miss that grit, that sandpapery rough kind of feel on the screen that you get on the Sony with the graphite nib. Now, there's a lot of negativity around those devices because the nibs run out really quickly, the device is very limiting, we understand that, but the note-taking feel on this is fantastic for what it is. It's just not the best we've felt. The Onyx App Store is a little bit lacking with only 45 apps. We actually do recommend you utilize Google Play or the Goody Reader App Store, where we have over 50,000 apps, and they're all catered to e-ink devices. The screen real estate on this device is much to be expected by a 13.3-inch device, and putting it up against a 6-inch device, you can see how absolutely mammoth it is. So needless to say, reading manga is going to be a very clear experience. You can see that the quality is actually quite nice, although it does look a little bit blown up, and that's because it is trying to be a 6-inch screen on a 13.3. So when you do view some content like this that isn't made for a 13.3, it is going to be scaled in such a way. We understand this isn't a dedicated e-reader, and it most definitely isn't worth the price if you're just reading books, but we have to show it all the same. You're not going to be lining up at the door to grab this 13.3-inch device and say, I gotta read my book. But if you had to, it absolutely can do it. Of course, it is an e-reader. It is an electronic device that reads books. You can do all the same functionality you can do in any application that you download onto this device. We, of course, are using the Amazon Kindle device. You can translate, you can leave highlights, and most importantly, look at all the text on the screen. It's such a big screen that so much text actually fits on it, you don't have to turn pages quite as often as a smaller device. PDFs load perfectly fine. It starts in the Onyx Boox Neo reader and you can start writing right away. Previous iterations of devices by Onyx, you actually had to go through a few steps to get into the handwriting portion, but now you can just start taking notes. If you tap the center, you do have some ways to change your orientation, your pagination, zoom, crop, margin. You even have navigation and split view, which we showed you is basically just split screen. You also have scribble. When you click on scribble, you get a little bit more options. You get some colors, eraser, and a lot of the features you find in the note-taking experience. This device can also act as a secondary monitor under its own battery, meaning it does not need to be plugged in to any power source. Pressing the refresh button at any time triggers a full screen refresh. You can of course play videos. X mode is the best mode for this because this is going to give you the best refresh rate, giving you a smooth video experience. And you can actually turn on text mode if you need to write in Excel, if you need to write emails out, or of course Microsoft Word documents. Aside from the Dasung 13.3 inch paper-like monitor, this is the first e-ink device to be 13.3 inches and still have a glow light. Not only that, it has warm lighting as well, which actually means you can white balance the blues and the oranges exactly to your liking. You can make it super orange, you can make it super blue, super white, stone, or a healthy mix of both. This is an incredible feat, and as you can see, the distribution is absolutely flawless. We didn't think it could be done. A lot of people tried, and it looks like Onyx has succeeded. Split screen is something that is fantastic. It just got recently integrated on the latest update. You can see here I can take all my notes on this side and I can interact with, say, the web browser on this side. It isn't just isolated to the browser and the note-taking experience only. You can put any two applications you want. In fact, we can switch positions, keep the browser on this side, open up my email, my recorder, maybe my music, my calculator. You can go apps, you can go your books, you can basically do anything. They've essentially just cut the UI in half so that you can autonomously use something on this side and this side. And the navigation ball can actually cross over the middle because it lays above everything else. It can even be smack dab in the center and still function during split screen mode perfectly fine. The highest specs, the fastest performance, the most bells and whistles, flush screen and bezel, Wacom technology, USB-C, stereo speakers, Glowlight, open Android, videos, audio, audiobooks, any app you want, any email service you want, any Wi-Fi you want, any experience you want. This device has it all. The only noticeable downside is the price tag, but it's worth every penny. This can be considered a tablet first and foremost, not an e-reader. For them to pack as much as they do into this device and still give you your own non-lockdown experience is phenomenal. We are partnered with pretty much everyone in the industry, from Sony to Fujitsu to Boyu to Supernote, and as well Onyx. There's been a lot of devices we've seen over the past 12 years. And if you want the best, this is the best e-ink device we have ever seen. For GoodEReader.com and a full review of the Onyx Max Lumi, this is Peter.